September 14, William McKinley. Faithfulness to God demands daily decisions. In July of 1864, 21-year-old Second Lieutenant William McKinley found himself on Lieutenant Colonel Rutherford B. Hayes' staff, currently in the Virginia Valley near Kernstown. The Confederates began firing. The Union Army, having underestimated the South's strength, retreated. Hayes turned to McKinley, a young man he had come to think of as a son, and gave him a task, a dangerous task, that would require more courage than Lieutenant McKinley had ever shown. "There's a regiment caught in the orchard still under fire," Hayes told McKinley. "We need them to move into retreat if they haven't already fallen." Years before, McKinley had given his life to the Lord, and he had no doubt of the rightness of the North's cause. So he put his life in God's hands and simply mounted his horse and took off toward the advancing enemy and the stranded regiment. In spite of the constant shelling from the enemy, McKinley charged across open fields while his fellow officers watched in concern. The young man directed his horse to leap over fences in plain view, to forge through ditches, to keep moving forward. The air filled with vapor from the barrage of cannons, and bullets whizzed all around. Then one exploded very near to him. The smoke obscured him from view. All of the officers who marked his progress flinched, for Lieutenant McKinley was a favorite with everyone, enlisted men and officers alike. They feared Lieutenant Colonel Hayes had sent the promising young man to his death. Then, suddenly, McKinley emerged from the smoke and debris, firmly seated on his horse and riding with the strength and courage of a warrior. Hope soared as McKinley reached the orchard. Once there, he directed the stray regiment to join the retreat. After one last volley with the enemy, the regiment followed McKinley to safety. They soon fell in line with their brigade and marched back to a more secure position. Young McKinley returned to the side of his commanding officer. Hayes turned to him. "I never expected to see you again," he said. McKinley simply smiled and acknowledged he had done his duty for the sake of the men in that regiment. It's like the Word of God says in 1 John 3:16. "We know love by this, that Jesus laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren." Faithfulness to God demands daily decisions. Can you be counted on?
Hello friends, my name is Blake Maddox. I'm the Executive Director of 365 Christian Men, and today is September 14th, and our story is about a man who at 17 years old, very few people would have known who he was. But he was a man that even at a young age was committed to responsibility, obligation, and duty. Fast forward 25, 30 years, and he was the President of the United States. You just heard the story. The thing that really challenged me with this story was there was something in William McKinley that caused him to be faithful and committed to duty and responsibility. We know that he had a relationship with Jesus Christ, but he also had a work ethic and he had a commitment to responsibility. I think today that is sorely lacking in the world we live in, and it needs to be modeled for people. So the challenge for all of us is to stay committed to our responsibilities and to our obligations, and to do everything that we do as unto the Lord. You know, in Luke chapter 6, verse 38, Jesus said that he came to do the will of the Father. When Jesus came to planet Earth, his full commitment was to be responsible to God's will first and foremost. That is the greatest and the highest calling for us as individuals, is to be committed to the will and the purposes of God. So my challenge is, let's reflect on that, let's think about that, and see how God would speak to us about our duty, responsibility, and obligations, and how we can pour that into the next generation. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.